Hey there! My name is Brandon Howe, and welcome back to my Making a Game series. In the last episode, we made a level complete screen. Woo! And a level failed screen. Right over here. Ta-da! And we got both of them to work. We also made a level end thing over here, that when we run into that'll end our levels. Cool. So in this episode, before we get started, I made some small adjustments since the last episode. In that, I added something to the player health script, an active boolean, that basically having that set to false will stop us from getting hit, and that will help with not getting hit if we don't want to, for mainly testing and all that, or a cheat or something like that, who knows. As well, I also repositioned our enemies a little bit, but that doesn't really matter that much. I also noticed that when I changed the script earlier on our enemy turns to have some of them start in a different direction, I didn't actually test if it was working properly, and surprise, surprise, it wasn't. So all I had to do for that, I just changed this deer boolean so I made a start right boolean that then affects what this is start value is, but I didn't actually change the direction multiplier. So if deer is false on start, then setting the deer multiplier to -1 makes it start going in the opposite direction. So cool. Now in this episode, we are going to be making some improvements to our UI elements. Specifically, well, additions mainly, but specifically our score text. We're going to be adding a scroll bar thing under it that'll show how close we are to reaching our goal of however much score we need to complete the level. As well, we are going to be adding a level progress bar showing how close we are to the end of the level. And because our level is all very linear from straight to end, it'll be rather easy to do that. So let's get started. I think first we'll work on the score bar up here, since we already have that made. Now, since I'm going to have a level progress bar, it doesn't really matter what side we have it on. I guess we'll put the level progress bar over here, and then the score bar, we'll leave that up there. But we could swap sides later if we decide we want to do that. So in order to do that, we're going to go to our canvas. We have our level score text. We're going to right click this and go add a UI element. We're going to add a slider, I believe is what I want. Yes. So a slider here. So we're going to now convert this into something under our score text that then shows how much score we have out of the total amount of score that we need. I'm saying score quite a lot. All right, let's get to it. So we're going to call this score bar. And now this has a few components to it. It has the fill area underneath, the background, and it has this handle. So this as a UI element can be used as something that you could drag in like an options menu or something like that. We don't need that, so we're actually going to just delete this. So we just have the bar here, and then we're basically going to, through programming based on what our score is and whatever the max score is, we're going to sort of fill that up. Now if you notice, when it's this value going from 0 to 1, when it's fully full, it doesn't look very full, and when it's empty, it doesn't look completely empty. I'm also going to increase the size of that to, let's go 50 and 200. That looks good, I guess. And I'm also going to anchor it to up here, and I'm going to put it under the text. And actually, I think I'm going to make it just a child object. Actually, I'll make the text a child object of it, which means I might also change the colors. Actually, no, I'll change the colors of the score bar first, which this background part, I'm going to make it a dark blue, kind of like what the background is. Maybe a bit brighter so you can actually see it better. Or can we just make it straight black? Yeah, I think some color looks nice. Yeah, I think blue would be better for that job. Just a little brighter so we can see it. All right, and then this fill area, this part here, this we're actually going to make different depending on its size. So when it's all the way at 0, it's going to be red. As it gets to halfway, it's going to slowly change to yellow, and then going from halfway point all the way full, it's going to change to green, is how we're going to do that. So it's going to start off being empty, so we'll just start it off being red. And now we're also going to want to deal with it kind of existing when it's empty and it not being full when it's full. So, oh, that's another value I want to change there. I want to change this one. So how we can do that is when it's empty, I believe if we go to this fill area, yeah, these two values here, this left and right, setting both of them to 0. Will that do it? Maybe, maybe not. And maybe this width, setting that to 0. Maybe I think that will hopefully do it. And then setting it when we then scroll it all the way up till full. Oh, right, cool, it's working the way we want it to. So now when it's full, it's completely full. And score text being yellow on top of that does not look nice. I'm also going to make this bigger. Not that big. Maybe 60, 70. And then moving this up, and then actually moving it out a bit from the side as well. 10, 5, and then putting the score text better positioned inside of it. And then I'm going to change the color of it to white. Actually, when I change the background to eventually green for full, over here, I just want to see if it does not look good as with green. So I'm then going to change the text color to black instead, and that'll probably just be better. I guess here we could also actually change that to be score 0 out of then how much score that we need. Ooh, and changing that to be centered on both sides, and then scrolling that this way, which then means if we have a bigger score to 0, if we have a larger score, then that means that we're going to want to, so on average, let's say, I don't know how much score we're usually going to have, let's say that our scores are in the thousands on both sides, so we're going to want to make sure that our score text is big enough to fit both of those. So let's do that. So our score bar, we're going to need that to be a lot bigger. So let's go 300. And then over here, our score text, we can set that to 300 as well. And then now we should be able to fit much larger values in there. Except I think I still think that might be a bit too big. Actually, does 250 still work? Oh no, it was at 200 before. So 250, I guess that works. Yeah, I don't think we'll be going up to values of 10,000. If we are, we can then make it even bigger, but that shouldn't be a problem, hopefully. All right, so now, first of all, before we actually get into this, yeah, I'm going to move our score UI script from the text component here. Yeah, I'm going to move it from there to the score bar at the top, and then it'll access the level score text as a child object. As well, the game manager that disables this will make it disable this instead to get rid of that. So I'm going to go then click that gear icon and then hit paste component as new. Then go over to our score fill and remove our score text and remove that. All right. And now I'm also going to unpack it as a prefab, because then we're going to make this score bar the prefab instead, which then means we can get rid of our score text, and there's two. I don't like that. I don't know which one's this end score up here. I'm going to hit that score text one. I'm going to apply that. So this score text one is the end score text. So I'll rename that as such, end score text. And then this other one is the child object one that doesn't have a reference to it anymore, so I should be able to delete it. Yes. All right. Always want to be careful when deleting things, just in case things go horribly wrong. Another case where backing up your files can be good, just in case you accidentally delete something you don't want to, and it messes a lot of things up. All right, so now we also want to make sure to uncheck interactable, because we don't want this to be interactable. And transition, we're going to set that to none, because we're going to handle that all ourselves through code. Navigation to none. And then and also min and max value, we're going to want this to be whole numbers, because it's only going to be, well, yeah, whole numbers for our, actually, Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set this to float values anyway, because we're going to be sliding it between what value it's currently at and what it's going to. And for that, float values will probably work better for that. So that's what we're going to do. So now we're going to go into our score UI script and adjust it as such. So first of all, our score text, we're going to want to get that properly now, or where it is in a new location, I guess. It's not on the same object that has the script on it. Instead, we're going to want to go get component in children, and then getting that text component. That should work because there's only one text component that is a child of our score text UI, and that is the one that we want to get. So yeah, next we're going to want to go for our actual score text. We're going to want to have the out of and then whatever our max is. So that means we're going to have to get a reference to what our max is, and we can get that from our game manager where that is set that way. Like that's where it's set. All right, so we're going to then get a reference to our game manager. Private game manager. Hold on. Actually, I don't think we need to do that because we don't really need to hold that reference to the game manager. We only need it just to get that max score. So I think instead we're going to, in here right before we use it, just go we'll set a private variable for that max. Private int, or yeah, an int max, and then this will be out of then that max, which is going to be game, or actually no, I'm going to set what the max is here and then use it. So max equals find object of type game manager dot then that required score. Cool. And then we're going to go out of plus max. Perfect. And then the score is going to start off equaling 0. So that's fine there. So now in here, we're going to go score equals, score plus the out of plus the max. Now that should then work there. Except now we want to actually adjust the slider part. So we're going to have to get a reference to that slider. So that's also going to be private. So private is it called a slider? Yeah, slider. Slider lowercase. Yes. So now we're gonna have to set some things up with the slider as well. So its initial value is going to be 0, which it'll already be set to that anyway. But I'm gonna just set it anyways. So slider dot value equals 0. And then slider dot max value equals max. All right, so now when we add to the score, then we're gonna want to mess with the actual slider. So we could just set the slider, but I think it'd be cool to have having it sort of slightly go up. Actually, okay, let me hold off on that for a second and just get this to work normally and just see what it looks like and see if that's even necessary, because I don't know how much it will be necessary. So when we add the score, so we're gonna go slider.value plus equals, or I could just equals score, and we could just do it like that. Equals score. And then I believe if the score is greater than the max value, this will just get set to the max anyway, so that won't be a problem. All right, so now back to Unity. We didn't actually grab a reference to the slider. That's a little important. So here we're going to go slider equals get component slider. All right. Waiting just a second. All right, so now we got that working, except yeah, so now we have the score UI set up. Let's give that a go and see if it works. So right off the bat, this should say score, 0 out of 500, and I don't like how you can still kind of see it, so I'm gonna have to deal with that. I'll mess with it in a minute. I just want to test it going up. Yeah, I think I would like it if it sort of slid up. Yes, so I will have a sliding amount, so I'll do that. Now I guess I'm gonna have a public variable for that speed. Actually, it's gonna be a smoothing value. Public float smoothing. That will then also be multiplying by time.delta time again. So we're going to actually want to do this in an update function, and then we're also going to want to have a boolean representing whether it's sliding. So public bool is changing, so whether the value is changing, and that's going to start off equaling false. So now we're going to bring back our update function. Update. Whoa. All right, so our update function, and then we're going to want to go if changing, or is changing. Right, we're also going to want to do the whole color thing, but let's get it just moving first. So if it's changing, then it's going to, instead of updating the value here, actually we're going to set is changing to true there. Is changing equals true, and then we're going to want to move this over here, except instead of just equaling the score, it's going to linear interpolate towards the score. So mathf.lerp from slider dot value to the score at our smoothing value times time dot delta time. All right, then, and then I'll add another and if slider dot value and it is not equal to max, because if it's maxed out we don't need to bother doing this, and I don't think we're gonna have anything that lowers score, and if we do, then actually this will take care of it. So slider dot value is equal to or is not equal to the max, so slider dot max value, then actually, and that can just be max since they're the same. It's not equal to max. Then slider.value goes from that to that. And then we're going to want to test then if it's equal, if slider.value. Okay, so we'll go if, so mathf dot absolute, kind of the same thing we did before. Whoa. Slider.value minus score is less than 1, I guess. Since we're more or less kind of working with whole numbers, we can just say if it's less than 1, then then in here, then we'll set it to exactly slider.value equals score, and then setting is changing to false. Yes, so now that should work. And then I'll also figure out what's up with it kind of existing, but not really. Maybe if it's empty, we could disable the fill area. That's an option. We're going to have to get a reference to it anyway, I believe, in order to change the color right there. So, yeah. All right, so we're just going to go in and test this out first. So now it's 0 to 500, and then now I didn't set that smoothing variable, so I should do that first of all. We'll set that to 10, which will then have a sort of a 0.5 because of multiplying it by the time thing. All right, so now it kind of smoothly goes up. I like that. And then when we get to our next enemies, yes. All right, so that looks good. Cool. So now I'm just gonna start it and then pause it right away, just so I can figure out what's going on with why there's a green line that exists right off the bat. So going to our fill area, let's check this out. So we got a really thin line here that we don't want. Wait, hold up. Is that just checking something out? Hold up, wait, what? Moving... Actually, when it's out like this, you can't even see it, but then going in full mode, then you can. Alright, well then, that's interesting. Maybe it's just so small that it's sort of getting canceled out anyway. I guess, just as a precaution, actually, let me just make sure do I have to disable the fill or the fill area. I'm guessing if I just disable the fill, it should be fine. So if I start this again and then go to the fill, if I just turn that off, then you can't see it. And if I turn it on, then you see it again. Yeah, so I'll just make it that if the score is exactly 0, then I'm just going to disable that fill. We're going to have to get a reference to that fill anyway, so let's do that. Specifically, we're going to want to get a reference to the image component of this fill, because we're going to want to change this color to go from red to yellow to green. So that means we're going to have to get another variable. So private... Actually, no, I'm going to have to make this public because there's multiple image things. So public image fill, and then we'll get a reference to that. And since we're getting the reference, we don't have to do anything in here. Now we're going to want variables for the 3 different colors that we'll switch between. So public color empty. No, we'll start at full. So full color, and then public color half color, and then public color empty color. There we go. And I think I can set these to default values of color dot green, and then color dot yellow, and then color dot red. All right, so now then we have that. Now we got the fill, and now I'm also going to do the thing that I said where I'm going to disable this fill by default. So fill dot set, or dot game object dot set active false. And then here, when I add the score, if score is greater than 0, then fill will equal then fill will be set to active, or fill dot game object dot set active true. All right, let's go and look at that. Going back in here, I just want to see if those colors are actually setting properly, because I don't know if they're, yeah, their alpha channels are good. I wasn't sure if they were going to be empty. So now setting the fill image there. I'm not going to bother testing that. I'm just going to be pretty sure that it works. So now we want to deal with actually changing these colors. So that's going to happen in our update function when we are sliding the value. So actually, yeah, in order to change the color, just think about how I want to go about it. We're going to linear interpolate. Oh, wait, no, okay, so we're going to need a reference to the, so we have the image, and then we have that color value. When we update the color in here, we're going to want to set the color's value to some kind of linear interpolation between these 3, based on if it's between 0, a half, and full. So I guess we'll go if if score is less than half of the max, so max divided by 2. So if it's less than the max divided by 2, then fill.color is going to be equal to, there's a color.lerp function of the red color, so empty color, where is it, the fill or half color, and then smoothing being the score, I think, or the score divided by 2, I believe should produce that. Hopefully. Yes. I'm gonna really hope so. So then otherwise, and I think I'll also want to multiply that by time.delta time. Actually, no, I won't. But fill.color, because this isn't going to move if this is frozen, so this will also be frozen anyway, so there shouldn't be any freezing problems with that. So otherwise, so if it's greater than the max divided by 2, then it's going to do the same, but between half color and full color. Score, wait, not, so instead of score divided by 2, we'll want to go from between Okay, so it would be score divided by 2 plus... No. Score... We're going to go with half the score, so going into some mathematical equations here, more or less. So the score subtract... No. So it's going to be max minus the score, and then taking that, dividing it by 2, and then that will get us again a half kind of on this side of the scale, but then we'll want to go and add. So after we do all this, then I'm just putting out what I think is more brackets than I need just to make sure that this works right. So max minus the score divided by 2, adding the max divided by 2, so plus max divided by 2. I am thinking this will work. I'm not sure. We're about to find out. So now, theoretically, it should start at red. By the time it gets to the half point, it'll be yellow. And by the time it gets full, it should be green. I have a feeling this isn't going to work, but we'll see. So it starts being way more yellow than we want it to be, so that's not good. Let's get just to the halfway point. I have a feeling, is it going to just snap to green? We're about to find out. Oh, yeah, so just snap to green when it gave over the halfway point. Okay, I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to find equations that work, and then I'll be right back. All right, so messing around more, and I was able to get these values to work. Never underestimate the power of a print statement. All right, so what I ended up getting was, I was actually thinking about it wrong. Oh, I also subbed out score for slider.value because that'd be just better for what we're using it for. So dividing the slider value divided by the max over 2, that'll get us a number in between 0 and 1 for the empty color and the half color. And then for if it's greater, that's if it's for, that's for if it's less than the max over 2. If it's greater than the max over 2, then it's more tricky. It's slider's value minus max over 2, that all in brackets, over the max over 2. So that ends up working out nicely. I also went and was able to put my player health being inactive to use to be able to get up to the score of 500 really quickly. So I can destroy stuff without the worry of dying. I can get there slowly. As you can see, it's going from red to kind of an orangey red color until eventually it gets to about halfway, and then it's yellow, and then now it's starting to get more green. All right, and then now it's getting very prominently green, and then now we're full green territory. Now, I did notice that going over here, we're kind of getting blocked out, so I might actually just go and add some transparency to the slider, because I think that would be a good thing to do. So I'm actually going to then make all of... Actually, I'm also going to make the start color the red that starts out with. I don't know if that'll make a difference. Probably will. So background, I'm going to want to set this to... Or sorry, the alpha channel to like 10, 20, 30. We don't really want to see that much anyway, so I think that'll be fine. Actually, if I'm going to set it to that transparent, then I could set it to black and then have it be even more transparent. Or 20, 30. That looks good, I think. And then back to the score bar, then setting the alpha channels of all these, let's say to 50 on all of them. We still want them to be pretty visible, but if the player goes over top of them, we want to still be able to see the player pretty easily. All right, so now we got that done. Cool. So now let's make the the level progress bar for how close we are to the level's end. So to start, I'm actually going to, I think I'm going to duplicate our score bar. Oh, also I want to apply it before I do anything else, just because. So I'm going to also unpack this as a prefab, so it's its own thing. I'm going to call this level progress bar, and then I'm going to move that all the way to this side of the screen, and I'm going to I won't rotate it. I want to make it its direction go from bottom to top like that. Oh, it automatically kind of spun around. Okay, I was thinking I'd have to resize it, but I didn't need to. So cool. The writing's all messed up, but that's fine. I actually don't think we'll need any text for it. We'll just kind of have it go from start to finish. We'll also make it a lot thinner because we don't really need it to be very wide. And I should be able to, if this is anchored, oh wait, whoop. If this is anchored to the side, it shouldn't need a Y position. All right, so now that's that. I might just move it out by like 10. All right, so and it also has the same sort of transparency and going up, down to up. I'm also going to get rid of the score text because we don't need that, and we won't need this score UI. We're going to make a new script. No, we won't, or will we? So what's going to know how close the end of the level is? So we'll actually just, yeah, okay, yes, we will make a new script. So we're going to create a C# script called level progress UI. Level progress UI. And then go into that. That'll have a reference to the level end. And then also, I guess the level start will always be 0, 0, 0 in the world. So then theoretically, having the start be 0 and this being a linear path, oh, going over here, that means all we really need is the Z component. The Z component of our level end, that would be our max value. So being from 0 to our max value. Nice. It'll work out easily. We don't have to calculate any complex path stuff. That's nice. So we're gonna then have a public. Actually, we can just have a private reference to the level end. Private transform, not that. Private transform level end. Actually, we don't even need the level end at all. We just need the its max position. So we're also going to need to get a slider reference as well to then adjust the sizes of everything. Unity engine.ui, and then we're going to want to go and get a reference to the slider. We'll do that first. Public, no, private slider, and then we're going to want it to then go private, the max value, private, it'll be a float called max, or distance, I guess we'll call it, just to be just dist. And then in the start function, our slider will be equal to get component slider. Simple enough. And then our distance value will be equal to finding that level end, which because we made it a script, we can just go find object of type level end dot transform dot, it was the Z, I believe, was the only one that changed. Or sorry, transform dot position dot Z, and that'll be that. And now we'll want to set up the max value and the current value of the slider. So the slider dot value will be equal to 0 to start off, and its max value will then be equal to our distance number. A slider dot max value equals distance. We'll also want to readjust the slider to be able to take in float values, because this would be a case where we would do that. Not that that should make much of a difference. So now then, we will, in our update function, it'll be every frame, because we're moving forward, that we're going to want to be adjusting our level progress thing. So now, every frame, the slider's value will be equal to, I guess it would just be, we're going to need a reference to the player, because it's going to be determined on the player's distance. Actually, no, because the player's moving back and forth, we'll make it on the camera's distance, because it's moving forward at a constant rate. So we're then going to need a reference to the camera as well. So this will be a private camera. No, we don't even need the camera part. We just need a transform. Private transform mcam. Again, because the word camera is variable, or has a value already in Unity. So then we're going to want to get that mcam. So over here, mcam dot, or sorry, equals, I think we just go find object of type camera, because there will only be one, unless we have multiplayer or whatever, but I don't think we'll be doing that here. I mean, that could be something that maybe I'll do at some point, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. So find object of type camera dot transform. That should get that. And then from here, then it'll be mcam dot, since this is the transform, dot position divided by the max value of, or divided by distance. That should then be our, whoa, it does not like that. Dot position dot z, right? Yes. So it's z position divided by the distance will then get us our value, I think. So that should be that. Well, we're not going to worry about coloring at the moment. If we do, we can just copy the same code from our other scroll bar. So now going here, we're going to want to find our level progress bar. I'm going to check this, or no. Oh, we had them both able to use floats. That's fine. So now we're going to want to add our level progress bar here, level progress UI, and it doesn't need any variable, so that's good. We're going to remove this because we don't need it. And now I think this will work. So that's not filling at all because our fill, we disabled that on start, right? Or no. Dun dun dun. All right, let me go and figure out why that's not working. Level progress UI value. Let me pause this and go in and just sort of, or let it run for a few seconds and see if anything's changing in here. mcam.position.z is, oh, is it because the camera, letting it move forward a bit, it's because it's still Z there, because it's a child object, in which case we might want to use the turn pivot instead. Right, I forgot. The, it's not moving at all. Sorry, the camera's moving forward, but this distance value isn't changing at all. So we actually want to get a reference then to the level select. And actually, then we can leave this being 0. Okay, so we're going to have to change a bunch of things. I keep getting messed over by our illusion that the player isn't moving and that everything's moving towards the player. So we don't need any of that actually. And this float, we're going to want to actually keep track of what that is. So private transform level end, and then getting that, then this distance value instead will just get the Z value. So find object of type level end, that'll be the level end there, and then dot transform. All right, so, oh, and semicolon, and then our max value will then be level end, will be level end dot that Z component, level end dot, that's the transform, yeah, just dot position dot Z, and then our sliders value in the update function will then go and update that to, it'll be again the level, or, I guess this will be constantly changing, so it will be, if we went with the levels position divided by the slider's max value, then that'll kind of be the inverse. That's going to be starting really big and then slowly getting to 0. So we want the opposite of that. So instead, we'll want to invert that. So if I just went 1 over the whole thing, or will that work? Possibly. Well, no, that'll just get a value less than 1. I mean, I could set the max value of 1, but then, no, I don't want to do that. Sorry. So how do I want to go about sorry. Yeah, so I want to, this is going to be a large value slowly getting smaller. I want to have it be the opposite. So if anything, I want to go slider dot max value minus all of this. That will work instead. Hopefully. So now going out of edit mode, back into edit mode. This should work more properly like we want it to. I hope. So now, it doesn't. Cool. Is it even getting smaller? Does not appear so. So let's go find out why. So this is being... Oh, it is slowly getting smaller. Let me just see if it's actually at least getting smaller. That'd be what we want. No. It's slowly... If I set it to like there... No. So it's going very not small at all. And that doesn't even look like it's being updated. Those are just warnings. Those shouldn't be causing any issues. We're getting close to the end. I'm kind of just stalling for that. When we get there, it's getting bigger. It's slowly getting bigger, I think. Okay, so... Oh, right. Dividing this by this will get a value between 0 and 1. That's not even what we want to do. So its value will be... Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm thinking of this like the percentage thing like we were doing with the colors before. But no, just going the max value minus its position. That should actually be it. Oops. All right. Trying to math way too hard when I don't need to. Now it should hopefully work like I want. Yes. So now it's slowly rising as we get closer and closer to the end of the level. Yes. It seems to be working. Slowly going up and up. And I think that's fine. I think I can assume that that's working properly. Now for the colors, I actually think I'll just make this a solid color of... I was going to make it blue. Actually, how does like a bright blue look like? I can just test that out real quick and see if that... Let me go back out. Let me just test some colors, I guess. Not any colors that we've used already. Blue. Actually, blue actually could work. I wasn't sure if it was going to blend in with the space background too much, but it doesn't seem to be a problem. So there we go. And then I guess later we can also maybe add a little thing there that looks like the player ship, and then a thing here that looks like a checkered flag or something. But yeah, so now we have our score properly set up, and we have our... That doesn't look right. Is... Oh, right, because we made it all transparent and stuff. Yes, that's too transparent, I would say. So instead, let me mess with some colors. This fill, based on what it currently is, what looks better? And that's not even changing at all because our code is overriding it, I'm guessing. No, it's not even... Oh, it is updating. Okay, so what was this set to before? That was set to 30. This is trying to lerp back down. So if I set that to 100, go out and in real quick. Okay, it's just being wonky now with just the things that I was setting before. Okay, let me go out again and then back in and then experiment with colors again. Not colors, in this case it's just transparency for the sake of looking good. Yeah, let me fill it up a little bit, and then now I should be able to go and over to here, set this up to, let's go 80. Pause, unpause. Yeah, it's slowly then wanting to go back down to its former value, I think. Actually, I don't even know if it is messing with the... if it is just setting the colors, it might not actually be messing with the transparency at all. So I might be able to just set this to 90, 100. Does that look problematic? It does cover the player, so maybe 90 instead. I think that's fine, hopefully. Maybe 80, seeing what that looks like. You don't want it to be too transparent. Let's destroy more enemies real quick. Oh, it does override the alpha channel. So now, though, let's set that to 80. Sort of see that. Oh, now we're about to hit the end of the level. Boom. That happens. Oh, we'll also want to make that go away. Forgot to do that. That's something else that we'll want to do. But it seems, yeah, around, I'll go 85, halfway road. That should be fine. The background seems to be fine anyway. So 85, down here to 85, and down there to 85. Those should be fine values there. So now, lastly, on our game manager, we get a reference to, or on the level complete screen, where do we get, so we get the score UI there. So we're going to want to then also get a reference to the progress UI. Actually, we only need a reference to the object, but we'll get it through getting the reference to the script and then setting it inactive. So level progress UI, level progress UI there, and then that will be equal to the same thing that we have here, equals level progress UI, no, sorry, find object of type, find object of type level progress UI, and this should be as simple as that. And then going down here, and where we disable the score UI, we will disable the level progress UI in the same way. Set active, false. So now that should look a lot nicer. Also, I think if we make these transparent, they're fine with how big they are. I don't think they're too big or too small. When we make actual levels, we can sort that out if that is the case or not. But anyway, that should leave it here for now. All right, so now we have a level progress bar and a level scroll bar thing. Cool. So in the next episode, I think, now that we have our level complete stuff done, we will start making a level select that we will then transition to. All right, so that does it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a good day.